Okay, all right, let us get started. Let's go ahead and start with we'll put our little centering dot in the middle, and then let's go ahead. I want to start out with some longer petals. So let's make those all the way around, thinking about our lines, being very mindful, focusing on our start and stop points. And for those of you who are new, the start and stop points is basically just what it sounds like. When you put your pen down, you start, and then you draw your line, and then you stop. But we're just making a conscious stopping point, so that will just keep us like at a good pace, so we don't rush through, and keep us very in the moment and the lines and the shapes that we're making. All right, let's now put some regular smaller petals just from the top of each of these smaller petals around. So, and we'll continue around, and I'll start turning my paper now too, because it's just easier to make these little petal shapes going around as I make my paper, as I turn my paper. And continuing that. Again, making sure that you're paying attention to your lines, your start and stop points. There we go. And Kay, are you tagging somebody? It's hard for me to tell in the comments, but thank you. That's awesome. I definitely love to just reach as many people with these as possible. I think more and more people could benefit from them. Okay, let's make another round of these petals. So they'll get a little bit bigger as we go around and around. And I use these for sort of alternative meditation, mindfulness, clarity, things like that. But they're also very good for stress relief. I know a lot of people use them for like pain management, anxiety management, things like that. They're also good to just kind of, break out of creative blocks. And just to have basically some alternate kind of things to do when you're stuck in creating. Okay, let's make another round. Again, just going from the top center of each one, making sure that we pay attention to our start and stop points. Turning your paper, especially going around in these shapes, just because your wrist, when you bend it around a lot like that, really starts to hurt these tendons. When I'm not being careful about that, I will actually get very sore wrist, and it will kind of you get these pains going up your forearm, and that is not fun at all. So very important to keep your paper turning. All right, let's go ahead and make another round. I'm going to do a few of these. They're going to be getting quite bigger now that we're getting on the outside portion of the mandala. And I really do just love these big ones that look like giant flower blooms. Like, what is like mums or chrysanthemums? I don't know. I don't really know my flowers. But anyway, I think they look really cool. And all right, let's put another row. We need a bigger flower bloom. And see how as you go out, each one, the blooms get bigger and bigger, or the petals get bigger and bigger going around. They just start taking up much more space, and which also adds to, how cool they look, because you have that variety of size in the petals. It really kind of gives them a 3D look. If anybody's just joining in, you can go ahead and try to catch up if you would like. Just kind of start, where you are, and work your way out, or continue to watch, and you can draw it again on replay. And okay, let's see. And another row. Okay, this will be the last one because we want to get a little bit of variety. I'm going to change up the petal shape so that we can kind of have some leaves on the very outside of our flower bloom. These kind are really actually good to make when you just want to really have that straight mindfulness exercise time, because you're not too worried about getting creative and changing up the shapes and stuff like that. You're really just focusing on those lines going round and round. It's very, very meditative. As long as you can make sure and keep that focus on your line, so you don't, start to get bored and get in a rush, and your mind starts to wander and things like that. So it is a very good exercise in keeping very mindful. Okay, let's go ahead, and I want to make a row of my chubby triangles, if those of you who know what those are. So I'm just going to make kind of imaginary line going out just to about here, make myself a guideline, and then just from the top center of the petals, I'm going to make just like a little kind of sort of triangle shape that has bowed out sides a little bit. And you can continue to make guidelines for yourself if you want, or just eyeball it. As you can see, these aren't meeting up in the middle there. That's okay. Just kind of whatever size they come out, wherever the lines land is all fine, especially in making these kind of mandalas, because they're very organic anyway, and they're not going to be, all perfect and exactly the same as we go around. Remembering to focus on your lines. Don't forget your start and stop points. And last one. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to do the next row in sort of what I call the Hershey's Kiss shape, which is just that sort of more sort of flourishy kind of shape. So again, just giving myself a guide going out. We'll make these a little bit bigger. I'm going to start from just right under the top, not exactly at the top of these petals that we just drew, and then make this kind of shape. So you can see why I call it a Hershey's Kiss shape, because it kind of looks a little bit like a Hershey's Kiss. And these are very hard shapes to get perfect, so don't even worry about that. But in these more floral mandalas, having them not perfect is actually even better, because in nature, leaves and petals are not. Hello, Monique. I'm not even sure. Do you pronounce it Monique or Monique? I've always wondered that. And that's one thing about on Facebook. You don't need to really worry too much about the pronunciation of people's names, except when you go live and they pop on and you try to say their name, and then suddenly you realize you don't know how, and you're afraid to butcher it. I do that every time. Like, oh. All right. Continue making these around. I have a few more. See, and as you can see in mine, you know, going around, they're quite different shapes. But that just makes them look more like actual leaves. All right, I'm gonna grab a little drink and then we'll start doing the fill-in. All right, let's start. Let's actually start with our outside, and we'll actually emphasize these as leaves. So on these bigger ones, I'm going to actually make a little bit larger of a center vein. Usually I just put one line in the middle, but I'm actually going to make almost like a little triangle, like a really skinny triangle going up. Just because these are a little bit bigger of shapes. So just kind of using that space to create other shapes. And then from that, I'm just going to do like the normal, you know, maybe I'll do these. I'm going to take my side veins and I'm going to curve them outward on these. Usually I curve them up. And I'm going to curve these out and kind of downward. And when you do it, when you put a nice curve in them, it really gives it that 3D look. And on these two, I'm also using the sort of lift technique that I do that some of you probably know. And that's the same idea as my start and stop points when we're making our lines, to be mindful of the line. But instead of a full-on stop, we're going to do a lift action. So we'll start just like normal, put your pen down, you start, you draw, but instead of having a different stop point, we lift the pen. And that will just give us, if you can see, like a nice sort of tapered end that makes it look very natural and organic. And this doesn't work that great with all kinds of things, like ballpoints don't show that effect very well. But markers are really good for it. So, you know, you can just do normal lines if you would like. It's all just sort of little details that aren't terribly important to the design as a whole. All right. So there we go. Now we have our outside big leaves. And I'm not going to, just for time's sake, I'm not going to continue all the way around. You can finish this off after we're done with the video. I'll just do a few for you to see how to fill them in. Now on this petal leaf, I'm actually going to call it a leaf and do just a normal kind of veins, but I'm going to make this a little bit thicker of a line. So I'm just going to outline these just so they stand out a little bit from the back ones, and it almost gives it a little bit more of a 3D look. So just making a little bit thicker line there. If you have a thicker pen, you can use that, or just do like I'm doing and kind of trace it several times, as long as you're just, you know, making sure you're keeping mindful and not getting in a hurry and tracing these around. And let's do one more. There we go. See how that really makes them pop out from the ones in the back? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make my line in the middle. And then these, you know, maybe I'll make these kind of facing, going downward too. I'm kind of liking that look. So same thing, just kind of doing that start and lift line. To make the little veins in the leaf. And these lines too, you don't, I mean the outside ones definitely are curved for sure, but even the center one, you can put a little curve in it, doesn't need to be exactly straight. There we go, and we have lots of cool leaves. And let's see, let's go ahead, I'm gonna do the same thing on these lines here. I'm going to just make it a little bit thicker, going around just to kind of have that really kind of defined shapes and a little bit of a kind of a 3D look, almost looks like a little bit of a shadow. It really makes it pop from the shape behind it. All right, and you know, let's go ahead and just to really make this a very floral mandala, we'll just fill in these petals as if they were actual petals. And an easy way to do that is to just use the lines. We're going to start lines right in the center here. And on these bigger ones, we'll draw 3 or 4, however fit up. I'm going to go ahead and use that same start and lift kind of line. So start and lift, and these definitely just make them curve, make them just go however they land, and it gives, you know, kind of like how petals will, you know, kind of fold in on themselves and make like a little cup shape. That's kind of what these lines give the effect of, just sort of like the folds inside of petals. There we go, and then we'll go ahead and just do that with the others too. And I'm not sure if I want to outline all of these to make them thicker, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in the petals with the little fold lines, and then we'll assess and see if we want to make any of the outside lines thicker. So in this one, you can, you know, kind of vary the amount of lines that you put in. As we go in, obviously the petals will get smaller, so you'll put fewer lines. Katie, oh, hi Saffron, I didn't see you pop in. Thanks for joining. Katie, yes, I know, I love these all floral ones. It's funny how, I mean, you're really just making almost the exact same shapes going round and round and round, but you know, then in the end you have this like really, really beautiful, like big flower bloom. I love them. And then we'll just continue in. And again, I'm not going all the way around just for time's sake. You can go ahead and, you know, fill the rest of the petals in when you have the chance. And also what these lines do is, because you get like kind of a darker spot in the centers here, it makes it look like a little bit of a shadow, so you really get a nice 3D look. And then, yep, just continue out, just the same as we go up. As you get smaller, just, you know, fit in how many ever fit, 2 or 3. And these little ones, obviously, it's, you know, just squeeze them in. And also, you know, a lot of times when you don't put as much pressure, hey Dot, how are you? It's nice to see you. Just, you know, a lot of times if you don't put as much pressure as you're drawing, it will make a finer, thinner line. You can do that too as you go into the tinier ones. Just put a lot less pressure on your pen to get kind of a finer line. Let's see, and then in this little center here, and I know it's hard to see, these get really small. I'm going to put one line going up, and I'm going to put a little dot on it. And I like to do that because it reminds me of, like, you know, the stamen inside of a flower. And if your petals that you put in the center are really, really skinny, you can just, you know, leave them plain if you want, or just squeeze in the line however it fits. But yeah, so that I think it looks really cute with those little lines in the middle with the little dot on the top. And yeah, now we have our really cool big flower bloom. These kind are really great to use as coloring pages. Obviously, because you have this giant flower that you can color in, right? You can do a couple of different shades of green for the leaves, like maybe have, you know, like maybe I would probably, well, you know, maybe it depends on if you have like a flower that's really light colors, like yellows or pinks, then, you know, maybe you could do a darker green leaf and then a lighter green leaf out here. And then the same way, if you have, you know, your purples like your flower is purple and or, you know, like a darker color, then you can have, you know, a lighter leaf here and then a darker leaf on the outside, or just, you know, I mean, really anything goes. But I think it would be really, really cool to color in. These are kind of fun to, even if you don't color them, and just to use colored markers to make them. So if you have, you know, like purple markers to make the lines on for the inside leaves, and then, you know, a couple of greens to make the shapes and the lines on the outside for the leaves. That looks really cool too. But anyway, I am just at time, done for the day. So, oh, Rebecca, hey. Yes, this one is great. Aren't these, I love these like big flower bloom ones. I will try to remember to put in the description that it's a flower one, a flower bloom. I sometimes forget because I upload them like days later, and then sometimes I forget that I want to label them, but I'll try to remember. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, you should, if you, I don't know, is there a way to save one from Facebook? I don't know. But otherwise, in a few days, it'll be up on my YouTube channel too, and you can look at it on there. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks everybody so much for joining in. If you do make the mandala, please share it with me. Either just put in the comments here, or if you post it, just tag me, or post it to my timeline if you want. And yeah, share this video. You know, again, I love to reach as many people as possible with them, so everybody can kind of, you know, learn to make them if they want, or just watch along if they want. And that's it, guys. Thanks again for hanging out with me for a little bit, and have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah. Bye-bye.